Hey folks, welcome to Guitar Daily. It's Nick Granville coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. So I did a whole year of posting every day on YouTube. Guitar videos, stuff about playing, theory, lessons, general experience of doing what I do, all that kind of stuff. And I thought it's kind of time to kind of recap and what did I learn from it all, and why bother, right? So the first question I was asking myself is, why did I even do this? Right? Well, to me, I've never really cared about numbers. I think if someone has 30,000 subscribers or 300,000 subscribers, is the person who has 300,000 subscribers better than the person who has 30,000? I don't think it really means shit, to be honest. It does if you want to pitch it to a company to say, hey, do you want me to demo your pedal or your amp or your guitar or whatever? Then they'll probably look at the numbers and go, oh, okay. And maybe that's the world we live in now, but to me, it's like, that's not the reason to do it. The reason to do it was I was kind of looking at it and going, well, this is what I do professionally, right? I play guitar. I do session work, I do recordings, do all kinds of stuff like that. I do a lot of gigs, a little bit of teaching and stuff. And I kind of thought, why can't I do a video a day? There's no reason why not, other than motivation. Right? And so that was my reason to do it, was to go, well, I've got the time. This is all I do, right? I can find a half an hour to an hour a day to do this. So why not? I thought, who knows where this is going to lead or what it's going to mean. I didn't know what to expect at the beginning and what to expect at the end. Just dived in and kind of figure it out as you go. That's kind of how it works, right? So, and I did it. I did an entire year, didn't miss a day. I put out actually over 500 videos last year if you count shorts and all the kind of other stuff, bonus stuff and all that. No, I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? This year will not be like that, but that's how it goes. Before I did daily posting on YouTube, I was very inconsistent with YouTube. I just kind of do it from time to time, and then I get busy and do nothing. And YouTube punishes you for that. To be truthful with you, I don't really know what I'm doing with anything with it. Does anybody? Maybe people like Marcus Brownlee have kind of got their fingers on the pulse, but most people doing YouTube don't really know what they're doing, and that includes me too. What I have found by posting consistently is there's certain things that happen. Videos do far better in the weekend than they do during the week. That's just how it is. Makes sense, right? Because people are typically watching more YouTube in the weekend because they're not at work. Right? Videos also too, if I post them during the daytime in New Zealand, that's the nighttime in the US or Europe or places like that, and they do far worse. They do far better if I post them late at night here, because most of my audience seems to be watching at nighttime, because the bulk of my audience is actually Americans, and then probably in the UK, and then probably New Zealand falls underneath that, and then Europe and different places, parts of Asia and things like that. So, but yeah, the consistency is kind of showing me that weekends are the best time to post, right? And that if I post later at night, my time, it tends to hit those audiences better, and it does make a difference. YouTube, I guess the algorithm looks at it and goes, wow, this video did really well in the first hour, so we'll keep pushing it. And then it does well in the next hour, so we keep pushing it, and that's kind of how it goes. I saw a thing where it was saying out of every 100 times they show your thumbnail to people, my channel gets about 3 or 4 views out of every 100. So that's actually not too bad. One thing I have found for sure is thumbnails and titles make a massive difference. I've put out videos and they've done just okay in the first hour or something, and then I'll change the thumbnail and you see the line going like this, and then all of a sudden, bloop, off it goes. And that's because maybe the thumbnail wasn't resonating with people. I have found by making thumbnails simpler, it works better. I found if you have some text in there that kind of draws people in, that kind of stuff works. But thumbnails and titles, those are the things I think the algorithm looks at. You know, the algorithm looks at the title and goes, well, what does it say? Does it say guitar in it? Does it say melodic minor scale? And it kind of pairs it up with people who will have looked for that kind of stuff in the past. So I think that's kind of a big part of it. So thumbnails and titles I put a lot more thought into. I also think the first sentence that you put in your description, I'm sure the algorithm scans all of that. Hashtags probably work. I put them in, but I don't know if they work or don't. Who knows? But anyone who tells you they've got the algorithm figured out, I think is full of shit, because the algorithm's always changing and nobody really knows, because except for maybe some people at YouTube, but even then, because it's constantly changing, it's adapting to what's going on, and I guess with more AI tools it'll adapt even more. But that's something I found, that thumbnails and titles are really important. Interesting thing about guitar, I found a lot of people want to know about modelers and FR speakers. My most popular video this year, the one that's had the most views, not the most over my channel, but the most over this year, has been one where I did a comparison between the Fender FR10, FR12 and Headrush. I owned a Headrush, I borrowed an FR10 and an FR12 for about a week, and I did 2 gigs with them, the same gig, 2 different nights. With an orchestra, the Sports Awards concert. So I took the FR12 the first night and the FR10 the second night, so I could try them on a real gig. And then I tried them in my studio, and I made a video about it. And that seems to be one of them. That is my most popular video of this year. It's had the most views out of all of it. And what's interesting is the demographic. It seems to be men, which, no surprise, most of guitar YouTube is men. That's shown by my analytics, but also that it's men between a certain age. And I'd have thought it'd been young people, but it's not. It's mostly males between 30 and 60 in that kind of range, which is where I fall. I'm 46 years old, so I kind of thought that was interesting. So there's been things like that that I've kind of gone away from this going, oh, it was not what I expected. One of the big side effects of doing this, though, that's been really good for me and something I wasn't expecting, was that I think my playing's improved by doing this. I think that what's happened is I hear myself play every day and I go away from it going, oh, this is something I need to work on. This is, things that I might not have been aware of. I do a fair bit of recording work. That's what I do. I do sessions for people. But even sessions, like none of the sessions I do ever really, very rarely push me to the limit of what I can do. They're 30% most of the time at best. It's about executing a part perfectly and with the right feel and sound and all that kind of stuff. But it's not challenging, do you know what I mean? Whereas with some of this stuff, I might push myself a little further. And so I'm finding out things about my playing. I see my technique. Maybe I'll notice I'm putting my thumb too high, or maybe I'm doing something weird with my right hand angle, all those kind of things, because it's like self-assessment that's happening. So that's been like a byproduct or a side effect of doing YouTube daily, which I didn't expect. Of course, I've had the positive comments from people, which I really appreciate, and I've had a bunch of negative comments too, which, whatever. I don't really care. Like, I don't engage in it on that kind of. Sometimes I'll occasionally kind of feed the trolls, but most of the time I'm kind of like, I'll just delete it. I just can't be bothered with that. But that was to be expected. I think comments most of the time, to start with, I thought there were people that were genuinely looking for something, but I think most of the time, if someone's leaving a negative comment, it's not about me at all. It's totally about them and about how they're feeling. That's why it doesn't bother me in the least. It's delete, or screenshot it and then delete it, because I've kind of been collecting some of them. One day I'll read them out, maybe. One thing that's interesting about YouTube, and it's kind of something that grates on me a little bit, is YouTube seems to be very centered around negativity. People love a good scandal, don't they? Or they love a good kind of someone going on a rant, or someone like putting someone else down, right? That guy KDHD, right? When he was kind of uncovering stuff about Chappers and Andertons and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden his channel blew up because people love that kind of stuff. And I kind of get it. It is what it is. It's the internet. But also, that's just not me. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go down that road. I mean, if I think someone's trying to rip you all off, then I'll say it. But like that video I put out about music courses, I wasn't going to single anyone out. Now, I know a bunch of people took guesses at who that was that I was referring to. I used those people as examples. I'm not about to name them. I got better things to do than that. I don't think that's helpful. But also, it was interesting. A bunch of people said, oh, Paul Davids for the funk thing. It was like that's who their mind went to when they thought of, a funk guitarist who's not necessarily the funkiest who's done a course. I didn't even know he put a course out. I've subscribed to Paul's channel for ages. I dig what he does. I think it's cool. I didn't even know he did one on funk. So there you go. It wasn't who I was referring to, but it was interesting that a lot of people went there. And I noticed one person left a comment, and then a lot of people just took that and kind of ran with it. Maybe that's how the comment section works. I don't know. But it's been interesting doing this. Do you need to post every day? I don't think so. I've gone down this road for now. Will I continue to? I don't know. But I've done this just because it's what I wanted to do. I think that's the most important thing. People say you have to do short form content. You have to. No, you don't. You do whatever you want. Look at Rick Beato, perfect example of someone who's just done what he wants. He does long format videos, and that shouldn't really be that successful. But he's engaging and knowledgeable. His guests are amazing. You know, people like Sting and Seal and people like that whose music I love. So I'm going to watch, right? And occasionally he posts things that I don't agree with, but so, that's the world. And, you know, he's doing what he wants to do in the way he wants to do it. And I think that's the most important thing, because people see through the BS, don't they? If you're doing something because you think you should be doing it, that never works, does it? So for me, this daily thing is just, it's what I wanted to do. I made a decision and I went, that's what I'm going to do, whatever happens with it. It could have tanked completely. But luckily it hasn't. My channel's growing and there's a bunch of really cool people. My whole goal around this was to create a community around this. And I think I've done that. I see people who are regularly communicating here, people who are helping out others in the comments section and stuff like that. I love seeing that. It's awesome. To me, that's what it's all about. So, yeah, I just thought I'd give some feedback as to what I figured out with this. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you think there's something that you would like to see me do, or there's something that you think I should do differently, or if there's something you've learnt from watching my mistakes, or whatever. Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm going to do a course, and it's coming out, and it'll be how to make mistakes. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you all being here. It's awesome. Isn't this fun? Isn't it a great time to have all this in our lives? All this amazing stuff that people are putting into the world with great playing. You know, I spend a lot of time watching YouTube because I love it. So doing YouTube is just something I love. And it'll get to the point where I'll be able to make more of this. And, but whatever. See when that happens. Thanks so much. I'll see you tomorrow.